Christopher, get him framed up. Coach, you can open with a statement. Guys, go ahead and use the raise your hand feature, and we'll get to questions as soon as he's done. Go ahead, Coach.
Well, I think that the thing that we're trying to get our players to sort of maintain is, having the kind of energy, kind of focus that you need to go out there and execute, do your job, so you develop confidence in doing the things that you need to do to have success. And I think, some of the things that the older players are, trying to, get some of the younger guys to understand is, they're saying, match me, match my intensity, match my focus, match my energy. And I think that's a challenge to everybody. This is certainly not a time, when you can go out and do what you feel like doing, because I think if you're preparing for a football season, this is one of the toughest times that you have to sort of persevere through. You're conditioning yourself to be able to play a game, to get acclimated to playing football. It's been a little different this year because it's a little longer period of time. And, one of the things that we're really trying to focus on now is situational football. I create a lot more situational awareness of, things that we do. We did a sort of it wasn't a scrimmage, it was just a regular practice, but it was a simulated game on Saturday in the stadium, so that players would get used to substitution, situations in the game, signaling, communicating without the coaches being out there. So we're going to continue to do that. Obviously, we're going to have a second scrimmage, this weekend, and we're going to emphasize even more situations. Today we had 2 minutes before the half. 2 minutes before the half was a bad thing. LSU scored 14 points in the last 2 minutes of the half, and Auburn scored 10. So those are the kind of things that the players have to really understand. Not only trying to score in that situation, but we can't give the other team the ball back so they get a chance to score. So there's a lot of those types of situations that we're really trying to, cover. And lots of players are getting lots of opportunities to get repetitions, and I think that's, really important, especially in a year like this, to try to develop depth on your team. We have had several voter registration education, programs here recently. Alabama Athletic Civics Engagement Initiative is something that, we're trying to continue to create awareness on, how important it is for everyone to vote. And the response, I've been very proud of our players and their response to register to vote, be prepared and educated on how, they can, vote absentee. So I've been very pleased with that. And I know it's kind of out there that I can tell you we're not endorsing any candidates. I've never endorsed a candidate, nor will I ever endorse a candidate or get involved in politics in any way, shape, or form. I don't think that's my place. But I do think it is very, very important that, every American, has a voice and uses their opportunity to vote so their voice is heard. And I would encourage everyone to do that, and I certainly would do that, even though I do it absentee, and I don't even know when Election Day is sometime if we have a game that week. I get that, but I just think it's important that everybody creates an awareness for the importance of being able to do that, and our players have done a good job of that.
Okay, Coach, we'll start with Chris Walsh.
Nick, without giving away anything in terms of competitive advantage, can you give us examples of things you've had to do that are different to create more depth on the team this year?
Well, we're trying to practice all guys, all the time. In other words, some days we coach the ones and the threes and the twos and the fours, and we split the coaching staff so everybody's getting reps. Some days we do the ones and the twos and the threes and the fours, but we're coaching all players, and, the staff is split so that we can try to, develop, more. Now, some positions, we have very good depth at, some positions we don't. And I think that probably every team is probably in that circumstance to some degree at some positions. And sometimes we have actually, trained guys to play more than one position, probably more so this year than we have in the past. So that you have diversity when it comes to, if you lose a few players, maybe you have a better opportunity to get the best players on the field. It could even come, and I would not say this in terms of who it involves, is, guys playing, both sides of the ball. Now, I think that's hard to do in the offensive line. It's probably a lot easier to do at skill positions. So those are some of the things that we try to do, is create more knowledge and experience in, players having more diversity in terms of what they can play.
We'll go to Brett Hudson.
Hey, Coach, you've mentioned both Brian Branch and Malachi Moore as guys that have been impressive in the secondary thus far. What have they done to kind of stand out, and what positions them to potentially earn some playing time early on?
Right. Well, they're both safeties. Both guys have, played multiple positions, star money. And, I just think both guys have a chance to make a contribution. I mean, we lost, 4 out of 5 starters in the secondary last year, so we don't have a lot of experience. And that's one of the positions that we're trying to create more depth at. And those guys seem to be the kind of guys that have enough maturity as freshmen to stay focused on the things they need to do so they have a chance to go out there and play. We've had a few guys be able to do that around here as freshmen, and we're probably going to have somebody need to do that in the secondary.
We'll go to Michael Casagrande.
Yeah, Nick, just wondering, you're 3 weeks into the practice routine, 3 weeks into school, and there have been some high testing numbers around campus. How have you guys as a program navigated that whole situation, and how ready are you, or where are you in the process for being ready for a game in 3 weeks?
Yeah, well, we're, we have a process that we use around here. We test everybody 3 times a week. We've had a minimal amount of players that have tested positive. But we have had some. I think we were less than 1% from the 4th of July till, when school started. That number probably went up a little bit when school started, but not really significantly. And I think, it's very important to understand that, we started this whole thing in terms of we need to have tests and we need to social distance and we need to do all this stuff because we were very concerned about overloading the healthcare system because of how contagious this is. And we haven't had any players that are really bad sick from this. A lot of guys that test positive are even asymptomatic. I actually think, even though we focus on the number of students that have tested positive, the hospitalizations have gone down in Tuscaloosa since school started. And I think that's the thing that we need to be most concerned about. And we're most concerned that our players, how are they impacted by this? Now they have to be out, and we take good care of them. And we're doing everything that we can. We even had the Surgeon General, Zoomed with them a few weeks ago about their personal bubble, things that they can do to make sure they stay safe, understand the risk, of this to, certain, population groups that have pre-existing conditions and are older and, not, spreading that to anybody else, as well as you doing the best you can not to put yourself in a situation where you may get it. And I think our players have done a pretty good job of that, but I think it's impossible to say that we would be zero tolerance on it. And the way I look at it, it's no different than a player getting an injury right now. I think our medical staff has done a phenomenal job. All right, but we're testing 3 times a week so players know the players are out there playing against, are healthy and they don't have any issues. And, we wear masks in meetings. We're spread out in meetings. So, it's been some changes for us, but nothing that really has affected how functional, we can actually be.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned how you guys have done a lot of game-like situations. Just how have you seen your quarterbacks kind of handle that, and maybe what do you want to see them do a little better moving forward?
Well, I think that they've done a good job. I think Mac has had a really good week this week. Had a really good day on Saturday, and maybe, not quite as what we'd want in the first scrimmage. but a lot of guys didn't, play as well as we'd like in the first scrimmage, but we made a huge improvement to the next Saturday, and hopefully we'll make another big jump this Saturday. I think Bryce has shown he's a very talented guy. He just got to get more knowledge and experience to, be able to be a little more consistent in terms of his execution. And, Paul has made a significant amount of improvement as well. So, we're going to keep working with them. If they were where they needed to be, we wouldn't need to practice anymore, and I promise you, we all need to practice.
Nick, I wondered if you and the staff have talked about what the free year of eligibility means for your roster this year and going forward, and what kind of tool is that in player development?
Well, we don't really know for sure. I think it's a great thing for the players. I think a lot of players were concerned about, if I did get COVID, how long would I miss? What would I be able to do? How would it affect my season? How would it affect my eligibility? How many games would I miss? So I think this is a really good thing for players. I think we have to manage our roster. We may have more guys want to come back, but one thing that we've done a great job of here is I think we've had probably more guys graduate in 3.5 years than any school in the country. And sometimes when guys graduate, they don't want to stick around, and it depends on what their career development is off the field as well as on the field in terms of what their opportunities are. So it's a little uncertain as to how that will affect the roster in the future. I think it's great for player development as long as players see it as an advantage for them to develop and have a longer career and an opportunity to create more value for themselves long term.
We got time for 2 more. Cecil, go ahead, unmute. Okay, we'll go to Tony. Go ahead, Tony.
Hey, Coach, with a couple of situational practices under your belt, have you gotten a look at the punting game, and how do you plan on handling that? Is that something that you want Will Reichert to handle, or are you going to use 2 different guys?
No, we have 3 punters that are in competition right now. All of them are, doing halfway decent. All of them need to make improvements in, some part of what they're doing. It's a really healthy competition, I think, and but we're not really. Will is going to be an emergency punter for us in terms of how I see it, playing out this year. But I'm encouraged by the improvements all 3 punters have made.
Hey, Coach. I'm just curious about the defense and having the experience back with Dylan and Josh, how that's made a difference defensively for you in what's situational.
Well, I think the front 7, I see improvements in the front 7, just with the leadership, that Dylan gives us. And, I think he's, playing his way back into shape and developing confidence and going out there, not worried about getting injured and, doing the things that he needs to do to create value for himself. And, in the secondary, because of the lack of experience that we have, we continue to work with players and try to get them to communicate a little bit better. But I do think that I'm encouraged by, the way we're playing up front. But, we got to get a lot better in a lot of situations on defense. Can't give up big plays. Got to do a better job on 3rd down. Guys got to be attacking the ball. We got to get turnovers. I mean, there's just so many areas that we need to make progress in. And, too many mental errors last year were really detrimental in our ability to be successful, especially in big games when we needed to. And we're also going to have to, do a better job in everybody learning how important it is to do their job so that we have a better chance to be successful on a more consistent basis.
All right, Coach, thank you. Thanks, guys. We'll see you on Thursday.
Thank you.